Okay, so we've got Markov chains. And I think the only example that really comes to mind that I've really been that close to was a student paper for this class quite a few years ago. And the idea of a Markov chain is you look at a process and you think it could be in various states. Okay, so something simple like you could think of a light bulb is either on or off. Those are a couple of states a light bulb could be in. So it's just this idea that you could, any snapshot of the process at any given time, you could describe as some number of finite, usually finite, states. And then the question is, well, there's all this possibility of, I could go from one state to another, I could go back to this one, I could go clear to this one. That this idea of transition and these states may be linked somehow as to what we see there. And this can be used for populations because the state could be, well, there's one individual, 0 individuals, 1 individual, 2 individuals, 3 individuals. Those would be the different states, and there's some possibility of going from one to the other in some sort of time frame. Well, so in the case of the student paper for this class, his project, he looked at fouling. I think during the last minute of a basketball game. Okay, so in that case, there's this often if you see one team a ways behind the other team with just a minute or two to go, what the team with fewer points tends to do is foul the other team and send them to the free throw line. And the question is, is this a good strategy? Or in other words, does it tend to allow you to win if you're the team that's behind? And so in his case, the states were were a point differential Okay, and I think he would start with sort of one team so many points behind the other or something. I don't remember, but states were a point differential combined with team possession. So which team had the ball? Possession. Well, that's funny. As I think about possession, that looks funny to me with the two S's and two S's. It is. That's the weird thing with when you write stuff down. Is it can look really odd, but that is the correct spelling. So anyway, it was the point differential, so 5 points behind, and the losing team, the team with fewer points, had the ball, or 2 points behind, and the team with the higher points had the ball. That kind of, those were the states that he looked at, and he looked at the likelihood of moving from one state to another, and he analyzed it. And I believe what he found was, I'm really sure what he found was not a winning strategy. So then, that begs the question then, well, why do it? Well, and the answer that you get is it's the only way to get the ball. To score, right? If you don't foul the other team, they just use up the clock, and you can't possibly win. So even though it's not a winning strategy in general, it's the only strategy that would provide you with a possibility to win, because otherwise the other team could just run out the clock pretty much if you were far enough behind. So that was an interesting, that was a nice model he did, and it was an interesting result of not having a winning strategy, but then asking the question, well, then why would you do it? And, well, because it turns out, even though your chances of winning are not very high, they're better than the alternative of having no chance to win. So there you go. So that was a Markov chain model.